I'm not ashamed to own my Lord, nor to defend his cause. Maintain the honors of his word, the glory of his cross.
Hello, I'm James Brown, and on behalf of the Eastern Church of Christ located in Toronto, Canada, I'd like to welcome you to Tuesday's edition of Walking Through the Bible, a podcast where we seek to study the Bible and the Bible alone. Please stick around afterwards for information on how you can contact us. But for now, if you have a Bible with you, please turn to the book of Genesis, and we'll turn you over to Jeremy Dieselkamp for our study of the day.
Thank you, James, and welcome to all of our viewers. This is the 85th lesson in our study of Genesis. Yesterday we covered Genesis chapter 25, verses 29 to 34, discussing how Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of stew. If you missed that episode and would like to watch it, you can find it and all of our other podcasts on our website at www.eastendchurch.org. You can also find them on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/EastEndChurchOfChrist under the Walking Through the Bible Genesis playlist. Today we're going to begin with Genesis 26 verse 1 and read through verse 5. The text that you'll see on the screen is from the English Standard Version, but you're welcome to follow along with any version that you have. So let's now read Genesis 26, beginning at verse 1. Now there was a famine in the land besides the former famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went to Gerar to Abimelech king of the Philistines. And the Lord appeared to him and said, Do not go down to Egypt, to dwell in the land of which I shall tell you. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with you, and will bless you. For to you and to your offspring I will give all these lands, and I will establish the oath that I swore to Abraham your father. I will multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven, and will give to your offspring all these lands. And in your offspring all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. In yesterday's episode, we had Esau selling his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of red stew. This chapter begins talking about a famine. How much time has passed between chapter 25 and 26, we don't know. But what we do know is that at the end of chapter 25, Esau and Jacob weren't kids anymore. So that would put Isaac to be at least 80 years old by then. Add that to the fact that in chapter 27, Isaac is going to be between 120 and 130 years old, and we find that Jacob's record is passing through this portion of Isaac's life quickly, because ultimately the real events of Jacob's life don't take place until Jacob is much older. So in reality, how much time has passed between chapter 25 and 26 is unknown, but it is easy to assume that a little time has passed. The famine that is mentioned here is different to the famine that occurred in the time of Abraham. This statement is important because many critics of the book of Genesis charge that since the events in this chapter are so similar to that of earlier chapters, that this chapter is a duplicate and the events that occur here simply didn't happen to Isaac. That's just simply untrue, for the author of this chapter plainly says that these were different events. The famine that occurred in Abraham's day occurred in chapter 12 and lesson 46 of this series. If you recall, Abraham went down to Egypt without direction to do so by God, lied to the Pharaoh of Egypt about Sarah being merely his sister, causing him to be expelled from Egypt. God didn't want a repeat of these events, so he appeared to Isaac and told him not to go down to Egypt, but to stay in the land of Canaan. God said that if Isaac would obey him and would stay in the land, he would be with him and bless him. What a tremendous promise that he extends to us today as well. If we obey God, he will always be with us and he will bless us. Whether those blessings include physical blessings or only spiritual blessings is up to God, but every Christian, according to Ephesians 1:3, is spiritually blessed in Christ. However, the most important reason God wanted Isaac to stay in Canaan was simple. God wanted Isaac to know that he was going to give that land to Isaac's offspring, and that through Isaac's offspring, all the nations of the world would be blessed. Does that sound familiar? It should, for God revealed this promise to Abraham 4 times in chapter 12, 15, 17, and 22. This, however, is the first time we have the promise being reiterated to Isaac. If the Lord revealed this promise earlier to Isaac, we don't know. But if he didn't, we shouldn't read too much into that, except that the Lord does things in his time and not in our time. However, there is one phrase that we should take note of, which is, because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. Back in chapter 22, when God reiterated his promise to Abraham, he said that it was because you, Abraham, had obeyed that he would do these things. Yet here, when he speaks to Isaac, he says that it was because Abraham, not Isaac, obeyed his voice. A similar phrase is used when God punishes Solomon, saying he wouldn't tear the kingdom away from Solomon immediately because of David, Solomon's father. The use of this phrase seems to indicate that even though Isaac had faith in the Lord, Isaac's faith might not have been as strong as Abraham's was. This position will be reinforced a little later as we read on in this chapter and on into the next chapter. With that, our time is up for today. Please join us, the Lord willing, tomorrow when we will continue our study of Genesis, beginning with Genesis 26, verse 6.
Thank you, Jeremy. And to our viewers, we also thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. Should you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment below or email us at answerintheword@gmail.com. We'll try to respond to you as quickly as we can. We hope you'll join us, the Lord willing, tomorrow when we'll be continuing our study of the book of Genesis. Goodbye for now and have a great day.
I'm not ashamed to own my Lord, nor to